Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. It is peanut butter flanker time. Or something like that. We're taking a look today at the new fragrance from Montblanc, Explorer Platinum. I got this one in yesterday and I've been wearing it since then, so basically glorified first impressions for you. I'm going to show you guys the presentation up close and personal, the box and the bottle, and talk about my first impressions on the scent, what I think about it, if it's worth checking out or if it's not so great. I'll have this one linked in the description below. Feel free to check it out down there. As well, feel free to check out my fragrances. This one, Terra Nova, that I creatively directed, is up for men's fragrance release of the year for last year. Men's prestige release, I should say, because there's also men's luxury. It's not up for that, it's up for prestige. That one you can find at every Perfumania, every fragrance outlet in the country, or you can buy it online using the code GENTSCENTS for 20% off, also linked down below. All right, let's go ahead and check out the presentation, then we can start talking about Explorer Platinum. So here we got the box. You have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration on the front there. It is an eau de parfum concentration. I went with the 60 ml size bottle. Got nothing up top, nothing on the sides either. Really reflective and a bit of a fingerprint magnet. And then on the back, you have the name of the house once again. On the bottom, you have your badge code, your barcode, and your ingredients. Badge code for mine is 01N11N047. And here we've got the bottle, your typical Explorer style. I think it looks good. You have a platinum colored wrap around the bottle, your little Montblanc emblem there on the front. You have Montblanc Explorer on top of the bottle. And then you have your information, your badge code, everything etched into the glass on the bottom. Now, one thing that did happen with my bottle, which I don't really care that much about, but you should be aware of it. I mean, same thing happened on my Ultra Blue bottle, is in transit, the way that it's packaged, the way that it's manufactured with the box and the bottle, the way they're put in there. The top of my bottle got all scuffed up. So the cap is really, really scuffed and scratched. Like I said, the same thing happened on Ultra Blue as well. It's just, I guess, how they, like I said, manufacture these and how they pack them. Also, you're gonna have a little Montblanc logo on top of the atomizer there. And speaking of the atomizer, let's go ahead and share a couple sprays here so you can see how it works. Here we go. It's pretty good. All right, let's start talking Explorer and Explorer Platinum. So the original Montblanc Explorer, this fragrance smells a bit similar to Creed's Aventus. It's sort of a designer take on that style of DNA. It does its own thing. It doesn't smell exactly like Aventus, but it's kind of in that family, in that style, you would say. When Explorer very first came out, I couldn't quite recommend it to most people because at full retail, there are so many other fragrances out there for a much lower price that you could get that would do something kind of similar, but cost you a lot less. Then as time went on, the price of this dropped a lot at discounters, and now I think it's a fantastic buy. For the price you can pick this up at, the versatility is huge, the compliment factor is there, the presentation looks good. It's a great buy. And honestly, even at the retail price, I've softened my views a little bit with wearing that fragrance. I think it's really versatile, like I said, very usable, approachable. So if you were somebody who bought that at full retail, I wouldn't feel bad about it, but be aware that you can get it for a lot less. Then we have Explorer Ultra Blue. Now this one I was quite excited about because I came around to really enjoy Explorer. So with Explorer Ultra Blue, I was like, well man, maybe this is gonna be awesome right from the get-go. A great freshie, but I gotta say, I don't really care much for Ultra Blue. And yes, the price on this has gone down as well, but I still think that this is pretty boring. I mean, if you enjoy it, cool, more power to you. Just one of those things where I think in that style, there's a lot of stuff you could go with that maybe would be a better option. And that brings us to Platinum. Now, Platinum has just started popping up to where you can order this online. I would expect that it's going to appear at most retailers, discounters, etc. before too long. They do keep it very simplistic here with the note breakdown. So you're gonna get violet off the top, you're going to get sage in the mid, and then cedar in the base. Now we can debate all day on the merits, the pros, the cons of 3-note note breakdowns, but that's what it is. So Platinum. How does it smell? What do I think about it? Well, when you very first spray this one on, it has a little bit of sweetness to it, a green touch that's going to come from the violet leaves off the top, and it very quickly segs into having a little bit of a soapiness. You do get an aromatic touch, very faint herbaceousness from the sage. It's an extremely clean take on sage, so no worries there. There's like not even a hint, a modicum of any kind of animalic facet that you could pick up from the clary sage, and almost with like a fuzziness to it. And that sweetness, you know, it lingers, it lasts into the mid, but it's not a prominent part of the fragrance. It's just giving you a little boost to that sage, but it really is mainly focused on that sage. Like right away, as soon as you spray this on, that is the focus. My wife actually said it reminded her also of lavender a little bit, the way that it just comes across with that big burst of like clean aromatics with a powdery feel. As you head into the dry down, it does get a little bit more woody, so the cedar comes out, but again, the star of the show, the focus here is the sage, pretty much from the opening into the dry down, just with different supporting notes coming up a little bit more and then fading down as the fragrance dries. You know, it does have a little bit of like a classically masculine touch to it. Done in a more modern way. It doesn't smell exactly like anything else out there right now as far as any more modern release. You know, there's nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that's come out in the last like 5+ years, 10 years maybe even, that smells just like what this one is doing. I think it's a perfect office fragrance, like absolutely would crush in an office setting, office situation, be a good casual scent, something that you could wear pretty easily just about anywhere. You could also even say that the way that this comes across, it has like a slight underpinning of like aquatics, likely coming from the violet off the top. You get a little bit of that kind of working underneath everything else. It's not really though something that I would consider like rejuvenating or enlivening or brisk. Yes, fresh, definitely fresh, but it quickly settles into that semi-powdery tone that I've talked about a few times. And so for a lot of people, if we're talking middle of summer, you know, when it's really warm outside, something like this may not work quite as well. You could absolutely pull it off, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for something that's got like a big blast of like citrus and ginger and aquatic notes that are very prominent, you know, the things you would typically think of as something that really jolts your senses and makes you feel refreshed, this is not quite as much that. This comes across a little bit heavier than that. So middle of summer, especially if it's really humid, I think I would go something else. This is going to be for me more like spring and fall time with usage during summer, but it's going to depend on what I'm doing, where I'm going, and the temperature. As far as daytime, nighttime use, leans more as a daytime fragrance than an evening fragrance. As I said, it would make a really good one to the office. Age range wise, this comes across to me something more like mid-20s and up, because it does have a little classy edge to it, you know, a little sophisticated edge, if you want to call it that. And so if you're a teenager or something like that and you're looking for something a little bit sweeter, something with a little more of a youthful edge, this is not quite that. Actually, in that situation, maybe Ultra Blue would actually be the better choice. So overall, with Explorer Platinum, I actually really like it. It does actually come across a little bit simple. The opening is definitely different from the mid, but once it settles in, it stays pretty consistent until you hit the dry down and some more woods come out, but it's not a fragrance that, you know, is gonna hit you with massive changes from the opening into the mid, into the dry down, where it smells like a completely different fragrance as it goes. After the first 5 minutes, as the opening settles in, it stays pretty consistent for most of the rest of the way through. And maybe it's not like a completely new DNA, even though I did say it doesn't smell super close to a lot of things that have come out here recently. When you smell it, it's one of those things where it smells familiar though at the same time, even though you can't bounce it up maybe against other things and say that it's super close to those. And again, I think that's just going to be that focus on sage, and where you smelled sage in so many different fragrances, you do feel a familiarity when you smell it. So maybe it doesn't immediately knock your socks off, it doesn't blow you away, but assuming that you dig that note, the way that it's used here is well done, and it does come across as a fragrance that you could get a lot of use out of, a lot of usability, versatility, you know the drill. And while I don't think that this is you know, quite the type of fragrance that's going to just jump out and demand attention. It does have a really nice, understated, elegantly casual feel to it. In terms of performance, it's actually pretty good off my skin. Actually lasts a good amount of time off my skin, above average, I would say. I can pretty easily pick this up hours and hours after I've sprayed it on. And like I said, I got it in yesterday morning. I wore it yesterday. I've been wearing it today. And I can't complain at all about the performance. It's lasted a long time and I can pick it up pretty easily as well. So projection seems to be good also. So in the hierarchy of Explorer fragrances, I would say that for me, the original Explorer still is going to be my favorite at this point. Explorer Platinum easily the next one down, and then Ultra Blue I think is still the worst. I do think that the original Explorer probably has a little more of a compliment factor for most people if that's important to you. It does have a little more versatility, but Explorer Platinum also, as I said, a very versatile fragrance. And depending on the situation, I might actually go Explorer Platinum over Explorer, depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing. I think that Explorer Platinum has a little more, like I said, classiness to it. And it is, to an extent, kind of a relaxing fragrance, for me anyway. I enjoy it. So there we go, Explorer Platinum. This one, I would say, as with pretty much all Montblanc, if you can wait until it hits discounters and scoop it up for a reduced rate, then it's gonna be a really good buy. At full retail, I would suggest you wait, obviously, and try to sample it first. But once it hits discounters, if it sounds interesting to you based off what I've told you, I think it'd be a pretty good pickup for most people. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.